Video gaming, a multi-billion-dollar industry. There's three main players out there. Microsoft with their Xbox 360, PlayStation 3 from Sony, and Nintendo's latest incarnation, the Wii. We've got Victor Lucas from Greedy Productions. You might recognize him from some of the shows that not only he produces, but he's on, the Electric Playground being one of them. And you've got about 10 other shows that you're doing as well.
Yeah, we're up to 6 right now.
Up to 6.
Yeah, not 10 yet.
I've only got one.
But Reviews on the Run, I think we've been doing that. That was part of Electric Playground when we launched the show in '97, and then we've spun that off into its own half-hour show. And Tommy and I have been reviewing games probably longer than anybody in the world on television by this point.
So you're an old guy now.
I'm pretty old. Yeah, I have a lot of makeup on. And the hairspray is still working.
Is it your real hair still?
It's still my real hair, yeah. Amazing, amazing but true.
I want to talk about Nintendo. It really has taken the video game world by storm, I think. You know, you look at the Xbox 360 and the PlayStation 3, and these things are powerhouse machines. They've got the latest graphic chips and CPUs in them. This one went a different route.
Yeah, Nintendo was all about being a bit subversive and shaking things up. I mean, that's what they wanted to do. Their whole strategy, which they dubbed the Blue Ocean strategy after this best-selling business book, was just to go in there and completely ratify the business and change and go after markets that hadn't been gone after in the video game industry before. Pretty much everybody had been chasing the same core demo with their game systems. And Nintendo kind of skewed a little bit younger with their systems in the past, or at least that's how it all shook up to be. And Microsoft and Sony have been in a kind of a two-horse race chasing the AV enthusiasts out there. And so this time they said, well, we can try to replicate what we did with the Nintendo GameCube, or to some extent the N64, again, and come out with a system that's filled with lots of cutesy characters and, you know, come in a little bit less of a cost range than the other guys, and basically replicate that model. Or we can try to do something differently. And what they did is they kind of took the best of both of their strategies. So they've stayed at a lower price point. It's about half the cost, actually, of the 360 or the
That's
PlayStation 3.
Pretty significant when you think about it.
It really is. It really is. But it also doesn't have HD. It doesn't have surround sound, true surround sound. It has matrixed Dolby Pro Logic 2 surround, which is still really good, but it's not 5.1 or 7.1 discrete. You know, and the games on this system don't sound or look as good as they do on the PlayStation 3 or the Xbox 360. But where they really innovated was in the control interface. They really wanted people to explore these games in a different way, and they kind of started that way to begin with. They basically took the guts of the GameCube and they doubled it up. So essentially you've got a couple of GameCubes in terms of processing power and graphics output and sound output. But it's pretty much the same core technology as the GameCube. But they started with this thing, and their model was an actual television remote control. And they went through a bunch of different iterations of what it would look like. But they wanted the controller to appeal to as mass an audience as possible. And they wanted like grandma and mom and dad, everybody that would ever be around a system like this, to see this controller on the table and understand it right away. And they pick it up, and there's tilt functionality, there's motion sensing capabilities in there. There's something in there that picks up, and it's called an accelerometer, which it can understand how fast you're moving and swinging your arms around. And it hooks up to a little sensor bar that you put on your television or below your television, and it actually can be used as a pointer, and you can physically point at things, and you can tilt and twist and turn, and the on-screen cursors and the interaction with the game will all adjust accordingly. And then they also broke out another thing, which is the nunchuck there. And this was their answer for providing some of the similar kinds of control that they've done in previous game systems. So suddenly you have the ability to play games like Zelda or Mario or something like that with this regular thumbstick and using this in conjunction. And at first, everybody thought this is going to be too weird. It's going to be very, very strange to play games this way. But they have done it. You can actually play traditional style games like Zelda with this kind of mechanic, or you can play like WarioWare or tennis or bowling or Tiger Woods golf with just this device, which they call the Wiimote. And you know, my hat's off to these guys. They've really done an amazing job, and they've revitalized their company, and some would say the industry, you know, because things are really booming right now, and there's a lot of attention on the video game space, and a lot of it is in Nintendo's direction.
Well, I find it interesting, you were saying earlier, when I think Nintendo, I do think more of the kids with the characters like the Mario and
Sure.
the Zeldas. But I'm finding a lot of people, like hardcore PC gamers and that, looking at the system now, and people that typically I wouldn't have associated with playing video games. Like my dad came over and checked this out, and right away he got it and started playing it. And I'd never seen my dad play a video game ever.
Right.
Yeah,
I think this was the barrier to entry for a lot of people. I mean, I think a lot of people have this psychological block, and they remember Atari, and they remember the early arcade games, and they think, okay, that's what video games are. And in some ways, the word video game has kind of become its own worst enemy, because it doesn't really encapsulate what the experience of playing a game today is like. So a lot of people think Pac-Man or Space Invaders when you throw out the word video game, and they kind of just push it under the table. And there's a lot of, obviously, of much more expansive experiences out there than those kinds of games. But I think what Nintendo did is they said, well, look, man, people don't have hours and hours and hours to play RPGs and get into shooters and online clans and all of this stuff all the time. Let's provide something entirely different. And what the Wii provides, I think, is something that may not be as long-term in terms of a play experience. You may not have to commit 40 hours to a game, or even hours to a game.
Do you have 40 hours anymore?
I
guess you have to.
I do when the game demands it.
Yeah.
But sometimes not. I mean, it's amazing to me too as I get older and the more games that I play, how much I love the pick up and play type experiences.
Yeah.
I love Xbox Live Arcade. I love that I can download classic Genesis and Nintendo and Neo Geo games right into the hard drive on this thing, and the PlayStation 3 allows you to do that. I'm freaking out over how good cell phone games are. It is pretty interesting that you can still. It's almost like we've gone back to those arcade, 10 minutes for a quarter type of experiences.
Well, it looks like they do have a winner on their hands.
They absolutely do.
The sales seem to be keeping on par with the other two systems.
They can't keep them in the store.
I can't get one for my house.
Yeah, I was actually physically at Nintendo in Redmond, and I bought my sister hers. I bought her a gift certificate, and because I couldn't find them for my sister and my brother at Christmas time. And I had just had a trip down to Nintendo last month, and I was there, and I bought it finally for her. But if I physically had to be at Nintendo to find my family one of these things, which is a great sign, not necessarily for the consumer out there. And there's a lot of people sort of questioning why it is so hard to get these things. And some people are saying that Nintendo's been holding back and rationing them out so that their next year's fiscal looks a lot better. But
I think they can't make enough.
Well, yeah, that's definitely a part of it. And that's true for their DS, their handheld system as well. It's just flying off the store shelves. The right price point, great technology, cool gameplay experiences that differentiate themselves from the competition. And, consumers can see the immediacy of it, the immediate value of it.
Very cool. Thanks so much for giving us your insight.
Hey, my pleasure.
And where can people find out more information about your shows?
Just head to our website, I think, elecplay.com, www.elecplay.com.
Victor Lucas from the Electric Playground television show, among many others, Greedy Productions. Thanks for joining us today.
Hey, my pleasure, man. Thank you.